Looking for the latest comic book to add to your collection? How about the last card for that Magic the Gathering Commander deck? Well, the comic book stores got you covered. Shop online at comicbookstore.tcgplayerpro.com or come in person at 30 North Main Street, Glassboro, New Jersey. Pizza people, welcome back. Hollywood Pizza here, and we've got a pretty spicy deck list for you today. This is the deck that I've been having a blast playing on the ladder so far. We've got Esper Legendaries, that's right. It's a deck full of all legendary creatures and spells, pretty much, at least in the main deck. It's mostly built around Ratadrabik of Urborg, so 2 colorless, white and a black for a 3/3. Vigilance, Ward 2. Other zombies you control have Vigilance as well. And whenever another legendary creature control dies, you get to create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's not legendary, and it's a 2/2 black zombie in addition to its other colors and types. So with Ratadrabik down, essentially any extra copies of legendaries that you get turn into value engines where you can just play them, sacrifice the new one that you just played pretty much, keep the old one if you want to attack with it, and then make a token. And then you can kind of start to do a lot of shenanigans, examples being, let's say you get a couple Rafines down, then now all of a sudden you're getting 2 times the amount of connives that you were already getting. If you get an extra copy of Adeline down, then now you're making 2 extra tokens a turn. How about Denik? Denik's pretty good too. You end up just getting a ton of lifelink, and even just shutting down your opponent's graveyard even harder, making it so that they have to deal with both of the copies instead. Now, the special card here that we actually really love to copy is going to be Shieldred. If we're ever able to get, 2, 3, 4 Shieldreds down on the battlefield, which is definitely possible with this deck, essentially you just put your opponent on like a 2 or a 3 turn clock and just end the game rather quickly without having to attack. So in our 2-drop slots, we have 3 Thalias here to kind of start it off with. Colorless and white for a 2/1 first strike. Legendary, of course. Non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast, so this is just a great card in the format right now where it makes your opponent's efficient removal spells cost more mana. And on top of that, they're not able to cast their Fable the Mirror Breaker on time as well. For Denix, like I mentioned already, this card's just great. A white and a blue for a 2/3 Human Soldier lifelink. Cards in graveyards can't be the target of spells or abilities, and then it has Disturb, so you can cast it from the graveyard. It comes back as a 3/2 flyer whenever one or more creature cards are put into graveyards, so that's both graveyards. From anywhere, you get to investigate, so you get to make a clue, and then whenever this card dies, it gets exiled, and the clue ability only triggers once. But this card's just really great right now in the format. It's able to shut graveyards down. It can stop a Corpse Connoisseur, maybe even like I think it's called the Casualty of Gix, anything like that. So just a really strong card overall, and I really love that it has lifelink. It's a cheap spell, and then it comes back later as a flyer that can actually give you some card advantage as well. We have 4 Elas Ilkor Sadistic Pilgrim. It's a white and a black for a 2/2 with Death Touch. Whenever another creature enters under your control, you gain a life, and whenever one of your creatures dies, each opponent loses a life. This card is really phenomenal in the deck because not only is it good on rate, it has Death Touch. On top of that, you gain some incremental life, and you can also drain your opponent slowly by kind of just throwing some of your creatures at your opponent, knowing that you're just going to get some tokens back from the Ratadrabik. 2 Adelines, double white and a colorless for a star 4 Vigilance. Its power is equal to number of creature control. Whenever you attack for each opponent, create a 1/1 white human creature token that's tapped and attacking that player planeswalker they control. Just a really strong, aggressive card. You can, get a Thalia into Adeline. Just a really powerful start. We have Rafine here as well. White, blue, black, 1/4 flyer with Ward. Whenever you attack, target attacking creature connives X, where X is the number of attacking creatures. So you can really set up a huge turn where you're just attacking with a lot of different cards, and then all of a sudden you're just conniving the Rafine or just another card for just a huge points of damage. And on top of that, it has Ward, so it kind of helps protect itself, and on rate, just a really solid card. I think one of the better cards in the deck that kind of helps kind of bridge the gap between the middle to the late game. We have 2 Toulouses here, Clever Conductor. So hybrid blue-white, hybrid blue-black, and a blue for a 3/1 human rogue. When it comes into play, you get to connive. Whenever you discard 1 or more cards, exile them from your graveyard. And whenever this card dies, put the exile cards into their owner's hands. So it's really good with Rafine. I think that's mostly about it. Doesn't really look like we have too much more discard, but I myself wasn't really able to get too much of this train going, but I was able to get the Toulouse down, and it was actually just a really good value engine overall, where you're able to kind of just connive, and then later on this card just trades for something good, and you get that card back. So Overall, I think it's a pretty decent card. I'm not really sure if I want to trade it for something else, maybe a couple more main deck removal spells, but overall, I think pretty solid addition. We have 2 Wandering Emperors, the only non-creature in the deck here. 2 colorless, 2 white. You should already know what this does. This card, one of the best cards in Standard. It has Flash. It's a Planeswalker. You can use its loyalty abilities at instant speed as long as it came in on that turn. 3 loyalty, +1. Put a +1/+1 counter on a creature. It gains first strike until on a turn. -1. Get a 2/2 Samurai token with Vigilance. And -2, exile target tap creature, gain 2 life. That's the ability I feel like is mostly used with this card at first, and then you kind of start to build your board state. But I really wanted to have some additional removal outside like the Urtai here in the main deck. And Wandering Emperor definitely gives us that, while on top giving us a steady stream of potential bodies, or even growing our cards to kind of help combat. We also have 4 Shieldred that we mentioned already. 2 colorless, 2 black for a 4/5 Death Touch. Whenever you draw a card, you gain 2 life. Whenever an opponent draws, they lose 2 life. But yeah, this card's pretty nuts. It's already, I feel like, a really, really powerful card in Standard, and with Retadribic, if you just get like 2 of these down, the game just ends super quickly. Yeah, this is definitely one of the best cards in our deck for sure. We also have 2 Urtais, an additional card that is removal on top of the Wandering Emperor. 2 colorless, blue, black for a 3/2 with Flash. Whenever it comes into play, you get to counter spell, activate ability, or triggered ability, or you get to destroy another target creature, Planeswalker, and its controller gets to draw a card for either of those as well. So you can actually even set up a turn where you can just like play this, destroy one of your own cards with the Retadribic, get an extra copy of it, and then still have an Urtai left. It's kind of like this weird card where you can use it on your own stuff, and it's also just a huge tempo play against the opponent if they, let's say, tap out on turn 5 or 6 for like this big play they're trying to go for, like a Farewell, the Sagas, anything like that. Then all of a sudden you just counter their spell and then swing in for huge amounts of damage. To help round out the deck here at the top of the curve, we have a couple AO, the Dawn Skies, card you're definitely seeing more of here in Standard quite a bit. I feel like almost every deck so far that I've been playing lately has this card. 3 colorless, 2 white for a 5/4 Flying Vigilance. Whenever it dies, you choose 1. Look at the top 7. Put any number of non-land permanents, total mana value 4 or less from among them on the battlefield. The rest on the bottom randomly. And then you can put 2 counters on each permanent you control that's a creature or a vehicle, so you can choose one of those. When it dies, it's just, yeah, really great card. It gets around Wandering Emperor. Phenomenal. For special lands, normally a lot of the time you'd only be playing like one of these legendary lands, but our deck is actually full of legendaries, so a lot of the time these actually just feel like real spells rather than just like these utility lands that are a little bit more expensive for what you're getting some value. So we have a couple Ganjos, a couple Ottawaras, 2 Takanumas. We also have 4 of the Rafine's Towers to help cycle and draw later in the game, and of course Pause of Heroes that actually makes this deck super easy to cast all of our spells. And on top of that, that last ability on it to pay 3 and sack it to give actually you get to exile it to give a legendary creature a hexproof and indestructible will actually come up a lot more often than you think, whether or not you're attacking or you're holding it up to make sure that your opponent doesn't stop your Retadribic from being able to do its thing. But that's our main deck for a Cyborg here. We have a couple cut downs, a black mana instant, destroy target creature with total power toughness 5 or less. Just a really good card for the early threats. We also have 2 unlicensed Hearst for anything that's going to be graveyard-based removal, or maybe if we just want to bring it in to help grind the game out a little bit as well. We have 2 Obscura Charms, which this is a card that you actually don't really get to see too often, but I actually think it's poised in the metagame to be quite a big player because, so up front it's 3 mana, white, blue, black, but it has 3 abilities that are really good overall, and on top of that it's instant. So the first one, so you get to choose one of these. The first one is you get to return a multicolored permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped, so you can actually get back a Rafine, a Toulouse, Denick, Alas. You can counter an instant or a sorcery spell. I really like this against like a Invoke Despair, anything that's going to be huge, Farewell, anything like that. And the last ability, you get to destroy a creature or planeswalker mana value 3 or less. So overall, I think this card is really good against the mono black decks that are running around, the Grixis decks that are running around, and pretty much any type of black-based strategy here. I think that it's just good. It, like I said, it counters the Invoke Despair. It destroys a Liliana or destroys a Graveyard Trespasser. And then on top of that, you can even return one of your cards back if your opponent killed it early. We have a couple Meathook Massacres, just as some additional board wipes here. Just really good overall, and sometimes you just end up playing it, and the more that your creatures die, the more life your opponent loses. Really good with a loss where you can kind of just start doubling up that way, or it can kind of just save you where you wipe the board, and then the following turn you start to build up your army yet again. We have 3 Void Rens, a card besides Obscura Charm that I'm actually starting to become quite fond of. The main purpose of Void Rend is that it's actually going to get around a lot of the ward creatures that are in the format. So it costs Esper, white, blue, black. The spell can't be countered, destroy target non-land permanent, and it is instant. What I really like about this is that it gets around the ward from Graveyard Trespasser, and it also gets around the ward from some of the other cards you're going to see in the format, even opposing Retadribix, things like that. But overall, just a really solid card. It's kind of like in the same vein as like a March of the Otherworldly, just because you're able to still cheaply get rid of cards like Bankbuster, some Sagas, anything like that. And like I said, just being able to not be countered is huge. Like, you know, a lot of the time you're trying to kill a Graveyard Trespasser and you have to discard a card, but Void Rend just doesn't even care about that. It just cuts right through the ward and just removes it. We also have an additional Wandering Emperor here in case we need to get a little bit more grindy in the mid-range, or it's just a really good card in specific matchups as well, where you really want to gain that life, exile some creatures, and then start to turn the game around. An extra Urtai in the same vein as well. Just a really solid card overall. Really good against control, really good against mid-range. When you need to just counter those big spells, you bring it in. Wander Farewell is kind of just like a catch-all board wipe overall to kind of just exile everything. You can set up the game potentially to just do it so that you don't get affected too much by this card. And on top of that, you don't always just have to exile creatures. You can just exile some other permanents or graveyards even, and just pretty solid overall. We also have one March of Otherworldly Light. I actually like this. It could end up being potentially just like the 4th Void Rend in all honesty, but I also like the fact that you can just play this for cheap. 1 white, it just gets rid of any tokens, things like that. So I think it was, at least for me, this deck list was actually played pretty high up the ladder here, to number 23 by, I believe it was Dude Man. Yep, Dude Man 79 here. And it was a best of 1 deck that I actually converted into best of 3 here because I wanted to make a video out of it because I really liked it, and I haven't seen versions of this deck kind of pop up in different places. So what we ended up doing was we cut a Thalia, a couple of Urtais, and a Toulouse, and we brought in some Wandering Emperors. Let me see, is that the only thing that we did? Let's see. Oh, and the Adelines. So we cut a Toulouse and a Thalia for 2 Adelines, and then cut 2 Urtais for the 2 Wandering Emperors, because I feel like in best of 3, we really wanted to be like a little bit thicker, like in terms of like our beatdown strategy, and more of like a streamline style deck. And I also didn't really like Urtai as much in best of 3, where it's not always going to be the game ender when you play it, whereas in best of 1, just a well-timed Urtai kind of just ends the match. But in best of 3, it's a little bit less likely that that happens as often. So I really liked having like the Wandering Emperor as just like a hard exile spell pretty much, and on top of that, it's just a really good value card. It's legendary, so you can cast off the Plaza, so it doesn't really hurt by just playing some other instants in the deck. I mostly also wanted to cut one of the Thalias because I really wanted to be able to play more spells in the sideboard, considering that post-sideboard we're not really going to be bringing in that many more legendaries, considering our deck already is like pretty much synergized to where we want it to be. So yeah, this sideboard is actually pretty much my own making, so if you definitely have any suggestions for it, would be greatly appreciated. You can leave those in the comments down below. And let's go ahead and jump into some games. Playing some Esper Legends here on the ladder. Let's see if we can get some powerful threats on the battlefield and beat our opponent down here. Gonna be on the draw to start this match. And I do think we actually have a pretty capable hand. Couple black sources for the Shieldred, turn 2 Thalia. Or maybe even an Alas. Okay, so opponent. Yeah, we'll go ahead and drop the blue here. Play the Thalia, pass the turn back. Definitely stunts our opponent's growth, especially if they have like a Fable in their hand they can't cast. And we hit another land, so let's go attack for 2 here. See what our opponent has. Okay, no removal spell. I think we can just play DECKTECH here. It gives us some life gain and is a pretty good attacker. You can say the same thing about LS, but I think I'm okay with bringing down the DECKTECH. Okay, yep. Coming in for 4, we'll go ahead and take that. Looks like we have double Shieldred here, which is really nice, so let's go and play the first of our 2 Shieldreds. Pass the turn back. We could have played Retadribix, but I think it's better just get the 4/5 with Death Touch down here. We can just block the Fleetfoot Dancer if need be. Okay, looks like they just have a Destroy Evil though, so they are going to get to gain some of their life back. And we have a Plaza, which I like. I think I still like the Retadrabic. Still get to gain some life back. We're only really down by like a point overall. Yep, just going to go ahead and take it. Okay, they have AO. And they're going to pass. We have another Retadrabic. That's pretty good. We could also Urtai. I think I just like Shieldred here. We do need to gain some life. So we attack with Denick. Yeah, I think that's fine. Attack with both. Yeah, I don't mind attack with both either. Just because we're still going to get a copy of either one of them that dies. They probably block the Thalia because we get some value from the Denick going to the graveyard. Okay, so we gain some life back. We do get another copy of Thalia on the battlefield. It even has better stats right now. And on top of that, the Retadrabic is giving it Vigilance. We're going to gain a couple life here from the Shieldred so long as it survives. Okay, Sanctuary Warden. So we're definitely in some trouble here. Gonna get to gain a couple life. Can't blow up the Sanctuary Warden, unfortunately. We can blow up the AO. Let's see, we can play another Retadrabic, an Elos. Would gain us some life. Urtai could potentially blow up one of our own cards if need be as well. We definitely have to think about this here. We need to find some way to gain life too outside the Denick. We blow up the AO, they just put counters on everything. Then it becomes a major problem. We are at 11 though. Yeah, I think that's fine. Let's do this. We'll gain some life this way. Okay. Up to 13. No attacks. Let's pass it back. So we can deal quite a bit of damage on the way back. We're going to go down to 3 here. They can remove a shield counter. Nope, not going to do that. So the question is, are we dead? We're at low enough life that potentially any damage spell would just kill us here. Okay, Rafine's Informant. So we're at 3. We go up to 5. We have another Retadrabic. See, destroy another target creature or planeswalker. Need to find some way to gain some life or just kill the AO. Kill the AO. We still may end up losing to the Warden being really big. They're at 11. Let's see here. If we play the Retadrabic, they would lose some life. I think we have to play the Urtai. Let's blow up the Fleetfoot Dancer. Get them down to 9. And I think we just attack out here. Some of our creatures die. They'll lose a life from the Elos. Okay, gonna block there, blocking there, make it one more block. Okay, so they lose 2, almost enough. Does the Shieldred kill them? Let's see. So we deal them some damage from the Elos here, and then they draw. And Shieldred actually ends the game there. So we got pretty close to losing that game because of the Flyers, but as you can see, we can slowly drain our opponent for quite a bit of damage with the Shieldred and the Elos. So what do we want to bring in for game 2? Definitely up against a value deck. May even be a Reanimator type strategy here. Do we want Farewell? It does go over the top. Unlicensed Hearse isn't bad, especially if that's what they're going for. Meat Hook's okay. Wouldn't have drawn enough mana to really kill everything, though. Had enough for Farewell. Let's see. Maybe bring in the other Urtzai, even. There's a lot of different options here. It's only 3 or less. Yeah, so we can't really blow up the AOs with that. Voidrend may not be a bad inclusion here. Let's see, were we able to slow them down? Not really too bad. But I don't mind the 2 Voidrends, or maybe even another Urtzai. A Voidrend and an Urtzai, and then we can cut maybe the Wandering Emperor. Seeing as how they have AO anyways, we're not really going to be able to exile it. A lot of the time we're trying to get rid of their best cards with the Emperor, and seeing as how we have Voidrend and the Urtzais in the deck, I think that's going to be fine. And a little bit of an awkward hand, but I actually think we can keep it because we have turn 2 into turn 3 power play. And we even draw another card that we can cast as well. So I'm just trying to look here. Okay, so we're definitely going to be able to get the Shieldred down on time. We are making our Voidrend cost a little bit more mana right now, but that's okay. So right now we do have the upper hand. Let's go ahead and play the Rafine. Attack with the Thalia. We'll get to draw another Rafine that will discard. Pass the turn back. So we have a pretty powerful start here. We'll play Shieldred and attack with both creatures. Unless they have a board wipe here, which they could have it. Okay, just a Fable for 4 mana. Obviously not really that impressive. I think the beach is fine. We'll play Shieldred. Attack with both. Let's pump up the Rafine to just deal more damage here. We have an Adeline. And I think we get rid of the Voidrend or the Retadrabic. Maybe even Elos. The land is an option. I think we just want to kill our opponent here as fast as we can. Gonna get to gain some life while we're at it as well. Get our opponent down to 11, now down to 9. Unless they have a way to kill the Shieldred, which if they do, that's fine. They have to spend most of their turn doing it. Which means that it's pretty less likely that the Rafine dies here. Then on the following turn, we kind of just have a really big play with the Elos and the Adeline. Okay, gonna take some damage, not really that impressive, and then we just have a pretty monster turn here with both of these. And things just kind of get out of control here. We're gonna target the Rafine. So let's draw 3. We can get rid of these 3. Keep the Aganjo. I actually don't even think that we really need to keep the Aganjo. think I'd rather keep the Takenuma because we can get a Shieldred back. That seems a little bit more relevant, considering that that's just like a win condition by itself. This also only really costs 1 black mana, so we can just get the Shieldred next turn. And I think we're just going to take the 2, not really going to fall for it. Could have a board wipe here, which would be quite annoying, but like I said, we still have Takenuma. And we have Retadribic to follow it up with. Obviously, we'd rather have the Retadribic now, so that way if our cards do die. Okay, but it's just going to be exile anyway, so wouldn't have been able to get any value from it. But we do have a Shieldred here that we top deck, so let's go get that down. And pass the turn back. Does our opponent have another removal spell? They might. And they do. Have another Destroy Evil here. And they have a Fable to follow it up with. Okay, we have a Retadribic. And I think we're just going to pass it here. I still want to get the Shieldred back. Let's cost a couple more mana to target. We'll see if they end up doing it. Okay, they just get back the Fleetfoot Dancer. Making it pretty large here, is my guess. Yep. And we'll go ahead and take the 10 here. So a bit unfortunate. Looks like our opponent may have turned the tide a bit here. Play Denick and Retadribic. I think we just do this. And we may just have to take this one more turn, get back the Shieldred. It's not going to be enough, though, I don't think. Void Rend would have been handy over this at this point, just because we haven't gotten a chance to really cast it too much yet. Yeah, we'll take it. And they have a Restoration, that's fine. Let's go ahead and mill here. So we can also get Rafine, which gains us life. Shieldred does block. Yeah, I still think we take the Shieldred here. Yep, just a wedding announcement, that's fine. We draw Takenuma. It's not really going to be enough, though. Reanimating the Fleetfoot Dancer definitely got us there. So it looks like they are playing some Reanimators, so I kind of almost like this maybe more. Or maybe we just got the to lose. Still keep the Void Rend over something. Retadribic. And I think that's fine. I still think we just ship it back. We got pretty close to kind of just outright beating them. They were at 4 life. Obviously, if they didn't have the second removal spell for the Shieldred, we kind of just like drained them out there. And we'll definitely be on the play. I think this hand's okay. It's not phenomenal, but we're still able to cast all of our cards. You can make an argument for starting with the Rafine's Tower, but we already have all the mana that we need to cast our cards here, seeing as how they're all legendary. We can just cycle this away later. Drawing the second Otawara is okay, considering it'd be a cheap removal spell later. And I think we'll go ahead and just come in for a couple points of damage here. Have a little bit of some beatdown right now. And it looks like our opponent's not really doing anything yet. We have a Hearse, which I actually like quite a bit here. And I think I'm just going to cast it. Come in for some damage. And I think now we have to play the Rafine's Tower because we actually want to use both of these Otawaras for tempo. And they just have a Fleetfoot Dancer, so yeah, they're going to gain some of the life back. We have a Shieldred. So I actually think we play this as a black. And yep. Just going to go ahead and play Shieldred here. Gain a life, come in for 4. And we have Ottawara here still to bounce their Fleetfoot Dancer if it comes down to it. Or maybe even bounce our Shieldred if they try to kill it. So I'm feeling pretty good at least about like protecting our cards in play and what we actually have in play as well. Okay, another Fleetfoot Dancer, that's fine. I really doubt that they're going to attack. If they do, I would be pretty happy about it. We can bounce one. Let's see, we can bounce one, bounce the other on our turn. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We need to find 3 damage. Bounce, pump it. Four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I still think that we bounce it though. And then we can actually just exile our Ottawara here. Okay, that's actually pretty good. We can just bounce this back to their hand. Play the Ratadrabic. We can crew. And just come in for max damage here. Even if they gain some life back, they essentially are tapping out and then we just kill them. They kind of have to attack, which is awkward for them because then we just pretty much kill them with what we have in play. They have a removal spell for the Shieldred. It's going to be a bit annoying. Okay, they just have that. That's fine. And they'll go back down to 4, and we have the Urtai to kill this and then come in for the win. So, able to take that match down. Legendaries are the name of the game here. Let's see if we can get some more creatures down and continue to beat our opponents. And this is actually a pretty decent hand, I think. We're on the draw. We have a loss to start it off with, and we're really just any one mana away from either the Adeline or the Rafine, and we draw on a Ganja, which is just fantastic here. Let's go ahead and start off with the Plaza of Heroes. Play the Alos first. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Correct me in chat. We have an Aganjo, which I like. Could also play the Denic, but I actually like this more. Does our opponent have a counterspell here? It'd be quite surprising if they do. Alright, that's fine. Pretty happy with them. I guess countering that over one of our better cards here. Okay, Fable. And we'll just play the Rafine here. They have to spend most of their turn to kill it if they do have a removal spell. Looking for any black source here to be able to cast this Shieldred. And yep, just going to take the damage here. Not really too worried about that. They have a cut down, it's fine. Oh, they just have Invoke Despair. Okay, it's pretty good. So we're going to lose some life. They're going to draw some cards. Fortunately, we do not draw our 4th land here. So let's go get this Adeline down. And we might want to be blocking now. Ratadrabic, not necessarily going to do it next turn. I think we have to slam the Shieldred. And opponent does have another Invoke Despair, so they just have super fast start here on us. And we're going to go down to 7 on the attack. We hit Shattered Sanctum, so we could play Shieldred. But I don't think that that's going to be enough, unfortunately. So let's go and pass it back, deal our opponent a couple points of damage. And we'll see if they actually have an answer for this. Which I'm feeling like an Infernal Grasp coming down pretty soon here. We'll see if they have it. Okay, Corpse Appraiser. Really wish we had the Denic down. Okay, they just end up milling a couple more Corpse Appraisers. Pretty surprising there. And if we draw land, it's not really going to do much. We really want to get both of these down next turn. Yep, going to copy the Corpse Appraiser here. And probably just come in for some damage. Could just take the 3 and kill the real card here. Have a little bit of some life gain if we can get to the next turn and get both of these down. Yeah, I still think we're just going to block here. I'd rather block the real card that they can copy than the token. And do they have like a follow-up of Braid here? 3 damage spell, maybe. Definitely contemplating on what to play here on main phase 2. You have a Bank Buster. And looks like that's actually it. So let's go ahead and get this down. Now we do end up breaking even with the DECKTECH here because we have to take a point of damage to play it. It is a bit unfortunate, but I think that's fine considering we can gain some life here. Okay, they just have Make Disappear. It's fine. So still looking in pretty rough shape here. Triple Retragibic in hand, not really doing much for us. Wouldn't have minded like another land or like a 2-drop there. Yep, gonna copy Corpse Appraiser. Getting rid of the DECKTECH in the graveyard. And the opponent does have quite a good amount of cards. Let's see, we would have to block the real one here. That's fine. We just have a Retragibic next turn. If they have removal, we're pretty much just dead here. Good crew there, but then we just block. Okay, another Corpse Appraiser. Which is actually surprisingly really good against us too, just because we have the Takenumas. Yep, gonna crew, and yeah. Even if we were to block the Bank Buster, we still lose the 6 points of damage here, so let's look at our sideboard. It's gonna be a pretty tough matchup. A lot of their cards just do so much. Yeah, I still think Thali's pretty good. Let's get rid of the Toulouse. I mean, drawing all 4 of them was pretty rough there, I think. It's kind of... I feel like that doesn't happen as often. Could bring in Obscura. Just because we can get our cards back. I think I like the Void Rends for the Graveyard Trespassers, though. Might just want to run it like this. I know it's a little bit awkward with the Thalias in the deck, but I think we can make do. And it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to have Thalia all the time, or the fact that it's actually going to survive, because a lot of the time it might just end up dying. And going to be on play here. I like this hand. This hand's pretty good. It is a little bit awkward, like I said, with the Void Rend, but I think we have a pretty good start here with the Thalia into potentially the Retragibic. If Thalia dies anyways, then we just hold up Void Rend. And we draw our 4th land, but it isn't a Ganjo, so we're not going to be able to use it just yet as an actual mana source. See what our opponent has here for us. They may just want to kill the Thalia. Okay, we have a DECKTECH. I actually kind of like that. Let's go ahead and attack for 2. We'll play the DECKTECH. They may just end up having a counterspell here for it like they did the previous game. Let's see if they do. Definitely thinking about it. Could just end up having a Corpse Appraiser here. Okay, they didn't have it. Just have a cut down for the Thalia. Okay, that's fine. We can still cast the Void Rend now. And they just have a Duress, so they're just going to take the Void Rend. We can still play Retragibic, because we can play one Aganjo. We can tap this Aganjo, play the other one, and then choose the untapped one. It's a little bit awkward, but May end up being our only play here. Do they have another land? They do. And a Bank Buster. Okay, but we draw our land here. We have a Retadrabic. And we're able to start attacking. So they can't use their Corpse Appraiser unless they kill the DECKTECH. Just because DECKTECH stops all cards from being targeted in the graveyard. Obviously, it hurts our Takenuma as well, but I think for now, that's definitely something that we're willing to sacrifice. Opponent does have 4 cards still left in hand. They know about what we have going on our side. They have not played a land yet, I don't believe. Actually, nope, I think they did. They played the Marsh here. So let's see what their follow-up is. Okay, they're just going to pay. So we're going to tap out to kill that. I'm pretty happy with it. I think we have to play the Aganjo, though. Let's get the AO down. And start coming in for damage. Hopefully, if this doesn't get exiled, we'll be able to get some permanents from the top of our deck onto the battlefield if it dies. If not, then we have a 5/4. Okay, opponent's looking at top 2 cards. So they definitely got something that they wanted right away there. Potentially a Shieldred. Or maybe the answer that they were looking for. Okay, cut down, sure. And maybe going to draw off the Bank Buster. Okay, not yet. I actually still like Thalia plus DECKTECH here. Let's see if they have a response. Maybe they just use the Bank Buster. Okay, so they need to have at least like a 1-mana removal spell to kind of kill the things we have in play. If not, yep, we're going to come in for 5. And essentially put them on a 1-turn clock here. Even if they deal with the AO, like I said, if it's not exile, then we're going to be able to come in for some damage. So yeah, we're going to move on to game 3 here. I think I still like the Void Wrens. We see a Bank Buster, and they just have lots of spells, so Thalia is definitely going to shine here. As long as we're able to get it down early. We may want the March, but it does get pretty expensive with Thalia as well. Not really seeing a reason for her. Obscure Charm is definitely an option. Wandering Emperor better. I honestly don't know if it is because it's an more expensive card. I think it's fine. Maybe even like an argument for Urtai, just because it does a lot of utility things. Kills, counters, it's a body. It's also better in multiples. I think we keep this hand. It's a little bit slow, but you know, like I said, early Thalia is going to be really good against them, especially if it sticks here. And it looks like it might. We have an Otawara, which is kind of fantastic because it actually gives us some form of interaction in between here while we're able to cast some more threats. And it looks like we might have avoided a Fable there on turn 3. Let's go ahead and play this down. And let's see if they just counter it. If they do, that's fine. Or maybe they just kill the Thalia. Sure. Spent their whole turn. Pretty happy about that. We can play the Retadrabic now. And then hold up the Urtai to counter something. Maybe Void Rend. Another thing afterwards. And then we still have the Otawara for some extra interaction as well. This is pretty good, though. They're getting a 3/3 down. And they're able to redraw here. So a little bit annoying, but still fine. Wow, double Retadrabic, so it's going to be pretty good. Can we attack? I think so. Trade up in mana. Maybe they just take it. If not, they just lose their card that's like a little bit better, and then we're left with the best creature on the battlefield. And they still have to tap out to kill it potentially. That's fine. And we also get a copy of Elos too, so I don't really care too much about that. We're not really like losing much value, and on top of that we have another Death Toucher yet again that's doing the same thing that it was doing before. Okay, they have a Corpse Appraiser, so still getting some value here, pretty good. It's not bad. If we draw an untapped land, we still won't be able to Ottawa, unfortunately, because this is no longer legendary. We do hit an AO, though, which I actually think might be worth playing. But is it worth playing now, or do we just hold up the Urtai is the question. I actually think I still like swinging here. Yep, just going to get in. We have Vigilance, which is great. Could play another Retadrobic, but I think we're just going to pass and play a little bit of the instant speed game here. Okay, they have a Siphon Insight, so let's see here. I think that's fine. We can counterspell whatever it is that they play pretty much here. They might have just hit like a removal spell. If they hit a Void Rend, then we definitely can't use the Urtai, unfortunately, but we'll use it for the Corpse Appraiser if that's all that they got. Okay, no attacks here, so let's go ahead and just try to Void Rend the Corpse Appraiser. Just because it's a body that's on the battlefield, we want to get rid of it. Yep, opponent has no response here. Can't be countered anyway, so let's go ahead and come in for some damage. Opponent has quite a bit of cards in their hand, though, which is a bit scary here. And let's see if they end up taking the damage. And they end up having an Infernal Grasp. So let's see if they pay for that. And we may want to try to go for the Urtai here. They could have a Make Disappear, though, which would be a bit annoying. And I think that they might have it. And it looks like they do, unfortunately. Yep. So yeah, I kind of ran into a little bit of a counterspell there, but that's fine. Going to get our opponent down to 8. Play this Rafine's Tower. And potentially just play this AO here next turn. Do have our opponent down to 8. Okay, Invoke Despair. So we're going to lose some life. They're going to get to draw some more cards. And they just pass it back. We'll go ahead and cast the AO. And put a land tapped just in case we end up wanting to cast multiple spells with this Retadrobic. And let's see if they have the answer for the AO. If they do, then there's potential that we may actually get some good cards off the top of our deck as well. Opponent has 6 cards left, technically, with the 2 cards here. And the fact that they can flash them back as well. They have more options to potentially draw into an answer here. Especially if they have like another Invoke Despair. But it actually looks like they're going to go ahead and pass a turn. I think we'll play this Retadrobic first. See if it resolves. May end up having like a counterspell, or I get a feeling like it's a Void Rend. And they're just going to use it now, maybe? Might have wanted to come in for damage first. Wow, okay. So, yeah, just going to come in for 5. See if they have the answer for the AO here. Okay, they hit Wandering Emperor. That's fine. That was actually our card, and they just bounced the AO. Okay. And we'll just pass it back. Okay, gonna make a Samurai. We still have this AO here that we can actually cast through, Make Disappear. Problem is that our opponent is hitting gas with these Siphon Insights, maybe. So, gonna be a bit risky here for sure. Okay, another Corpse Appraiser, so they get another redraw. So yeah, this is the point where Grixis is kind of just, using a lot of its value. So we're really looking for something good off the top of our deck here. Like a Shieldred, or maybe even our own Wandering Emperor. Rafine wouldn't be bad. Ooh, opponent is going to get to take the AO, unfortunately, so we do not have that as an option anymore. So it looks like the tide has somewhat turned for our opponent here. And they're going to come in for some damage. We can just take that. We're still at 17. And really looking for some good top decks here. Wow, we do end up hitting the Shieldred. So let's try to cast that. Okay, just a Siphon Insight. That's fine. They're just going to take a card. And we're just going to pass it back to our opponent. Let's see if they have an answer for the Shieldred. Looks like they do. Unfortunately, they got to stop here. Could be the Void Rend. And just looks like another Siphon Insight here. Okay, they had a little bit of a thought there for a moment. Gonna go down to 6. Okay, so we have them on a 3-turn clock. Even if our Shieldred gets destroyed, we get a token of it from the Retadribic. If they pass, we gain some life. We can almost just take the 6 here. Most of the... Well, the Corpse Appraiser would be tapped. Okay, they have Elos, that's fine. So they can gain some life. Yep, out of line. Seems pretty good. They have 1 mana left. Do they attack with both is the question. Yep, making a Samurai. So they'll go up to 8. So now 4-turn clock for us. And now we really need to find something. We could block with the Shieldred. Okay. We hit another Retadribic. So, yeah, we definitely play that. And we'll just pass it back. If our Shieldred dies, then we get 2 of them. And then we have our opponent on a speedier clock here. So I think if they attack, we definitely block with the Adeline, even if we lose our Shieldred to first strike damage. I think that's okay. We can even take it if we really wanted to. So yeah, we block, we get 2, and then that's a 2-turn clock. But let's see. We obviously get blown out if they have removal. Alright, so we get 2 Shieldreds. We'll lose a point of damage. They have 1 card left. And we draw another Shieldred. We'll play it. We'll pass. Drain them for 6 here. And these Shieldreds should be able to lock it down. Wow. That was definitely a match there. Able to take it down with 3 Shieldreds in play. Absolutely absurd turn there for us. Pizza people, are you enjoying the content? Don't forget, subscribe to the channel. It's free. Hit that bell icon as well. That way, anytime any of our new content comes out, you're able to see it right away. Hey, leave a comment down below as well. Tell us what you're going to play in the next event, or tell us what you're enjoying about the video. Don't forget, check out the description too. We've got tons of great content down below. And on top of that, we're going to have our tournament schedule too. So get in on it. Hope to see you. Playing some more legendaries here on the ladder. Let's see if we can keep the value train chugging along here. Gonna be on the play. This actually is a bit of a rough hand, though. We're really looking for some lands. We do have about 47%, so 50-50 shot at hitting some lands here, pretty much. On the play, it's a bit risky. Could mulligan to try to hit some cheaper spells in between. The main card that I have issue with is the AO. I wouldn't really even mind it if it was like 6. I probably would keep it. Yeah, this is a lot better. A lot better of a hand here. We can move the out of card waste back. We have enough mana in between to cast our spells when we need to. Let's start off with the Rafine's Tower into the Thalia, and then a DECKTECH as a follow-up tempo play, which I like quite a bit here. And they can't just cut down the Thalia unless they want to spend their whole turn doing it. And it looks like they do not. So let's get the DECKTECH down, attack for 2. And we have quite a bit of tempo going on, plus on top of that, we'll potentially be able to cast this AO, which is somewhat of a game-ending threat here. They can't cast their Fable the Mirror Breaker because Thalia is on the battlefield, so they can spend their whole turn, like I said, trying to kill it, but I would be okay with that. And we actually have plazas here, so I think I'm just going to play another plaza, and I think we just swing in with both. They want to trade with the DECKTECH. We're actually really happy with it because we'll just play it on the flip side as a 3-2. And if our opponent wants to actually spend their Bloodtithe Harvester trying to kill our Thalia, then we could just protect it with the Plaza of Heroes. And then on top of that, we're still taxing them. Let's say they end up playing a Fable. Yeah, we'll just go and sack our Plaza here. Give our Thalia hexproof until end of turn. And let's see if they have another response for that. If they do, then we get to spend another card out of their hand, which I'm pretty happy with. Yep. So that's going to take up their whole turn there, and they're down to 12. We got rid of 2 removal spells. Sure, we lost land, but I think that we can recover quite well from that. We had an Otawara, so we're able to cast that in terms of a tempo play, and then followed up with this AO if need be. And they may be trying to kill the DECKTECH. Nope, just going to take it. I think they see that they don't want to just take the 1 point of damage for us to save our card, and then kind of just feels bad after that. Okay, underdog is fine. Plus a land and a Bloodtithe Harvester. Okay. I think that we bounce the underdog. Ooh, Wandering Emperor's great here. Let's go to attack for 2. And they are going to trade. Wow, that's even better. So we can actually get this AO down now without a fear of it dying to the Bloodtithe Harvester. And it looks like our opponent is going to have to crack a blood here to try to look for an answer. They're 2 turns away from a Titan. So we'll at least get to hit them now. I don't know if we're going to be able to dodge a Titan here in a couple turns, though, in all honesty. So we're really hoping that this AO can get us there. Okay, Soul Windgrace, pretty decent card here. Gonna get the Otawara from our side on the battlefield. They're probably just gonna play the underdog as well. And we pretty much just have a 2-turn clock here, so let's come in for 5. We'll actually play the DECKTECH because it's a flyer. Gives us a little bit more of some potential reach here in the air. And on top of that, if they kill the AO, we'll just get some more creatures or some other permanents onto the battlefield, which will feel pretty good. And they may just be potentially cutting down the DECKTECH, which is fine. We're mostly just looking to win with the AO here. And it looks like our opponent's going to come in for 5. We'll go ahead and take it. No blocks. Not really too worried about it. If they have a meat hook, we still get a battlefield potentially from the AO as stated. And they're just going to pass. I think we actually, well, we can't just play the Thalia because then it would make that cost more. So let's come in with both of these creatures here. And we have a Plaza of Heroes, so we actually get to protect our AO from any removal spell, at least one removal spell. They could gain some life here. But it's just 3 if it's just one land. They may even have to sacrifice the blood to go look for another land just to actually be able to survive for a turn. And then at that point, we're feeling pretty good about our game. So as you can definitely see, Plaza of Heroes was definitely like really, really huge for us there. We were able to just protect our cards and grind away our opponent's hand slowly. So let's take a look. We're up against Jund mid-range pretty much here. I really like how we're positioned against them. I still think we're probably just going to cut both of the Toulouses here. And against this deck, what do we want? The Hearse? Hearse isn't bad. It eats away the Graveyard. They probably have Graveyard Trespasser from what I remember. So, let's see. Is a Retadribic worth cutting? I don't think so. I think we want a Void Rend, maybe both. Or a Hearse. I think I just want the other Void Rend. Like, I just feel like even if they get a Titan, like, they're not really... They're just getting, like, a Rhino and maybe a shield counter. I feel like what we're doing is a lot more powerful than that, especially if we get the game plan going, like how we had our previous matches with the Shieldred. So let's hope that we have a pretty good opening hand here. Don't really want to go for another mulligan, but if we do, that's okay. Okay, and it is definitely a slow hand, but I think it's keepable. I think that with both of these Retadribics, we're going to be able to just grind our opponent out, if we get to them, of course. Really looking for any 2-drop here to kind of help bridge the gap. Drawing another land is nice. Yeah, no 2-drop. Either way, we just play one of these. We want to keep the Ottawara for later. If we do end up drawing a 4th land, that's different to play this Retadribic. And then now we just have Rafine, which is pretty decent. Obviously, if they play like another Blood Tithe and then sacrifice their old one to kill the Rafine, it's a bit unfortunate, but considering they're sacrificing their land, I'm pretty happy about that. They may end up going for the Gix, though, and I actually think that we're just going to hold up this Urtai now, because they're going to play their 4th land here, and then their 5th land on the following turn, so if they do have Gix, then we want to make sure that we're just able to outright stop that. Okay, yep. So let's actually just play the Ottawara, which is a little bit annoying, don't get me wrong, but that's fine. Attack with the Rafine. Discarding another Rafine or the Denick. Denick's pretty good here, in all honesty. I think it's the other Rafine. Let's start a little bit of some beatdown. Let's pass the turn back. If they have the Gix, like I said, we have the Urtai. So we're going to take 6 here. That's fine. Got to do what we got to do. Okay, they don't have the Gix yet that we know about. So we can also cycle this Rafine's Tower, which I don't mind. Rafine's also going to get us a redraw. So a bit unfortunate they didn't really play into what we wanted them to do. Or maybe we just keep the land because it's still... We're always going to be able to use it. So yeah, let's attack. No, I think we pass here. I think now we kind of just play maybe a little bit more defensively. I think it might have just been too aggressive there for a turn, in all honesty. Maybe might have just lost a little bit more life than what we wanted to, but I think that's okay. It might also just be planning a removal spell here for the Rafine, which is what it looks like they're thinking about. But either way, I'm pretty happy with just countering a spell. Target opponent sacrifices a creature to the highest mana value. That's fine. Yep. I might just be playing a little bit too safe around their graveyard card, but I get a feeling that they have it. Wow, they just play underdog instead. Do we just counter that? That's fine, I think. Yeah, let's just counter that. This takes up their whole turn. Either way, they would have drawn a card if it resolved. And then now we get to trade with one of these, which I feel pretty good about. And then we can start the value train going with the Retadrabic and the DECKTECH. So even if they have a Titan, we still have some things going on here, which I like. Get a feeling that they might just reanimate their Titan now, considering we're tapped out. They actually can't, though, because of the DECKTECH, excuse me, so... Okay, they have Shieldred, though, which, pretty fond of that card here in the last few matches. It's going to take a couple points of damage, it's fine. Okay, so we want to play the Plaza. We can play both of these. So yeah, let's do this. Keep the old one. Play an Adeline. And no attacks. So we're definitely taking some damage from the Shieldred here. Don't get me wrong. We can block with the DECKTECH though, which is nice. If they kill any of our other legends, we just get 2 of them back. If they kill if they kill this, then we actually get a copy of it, which is kind of funny because we have a backup Retadrabic. So then we still end up getting like 2 legends per every single time. And yeah, I still think we're just going to block here, gain some life. And our opponent's not even going to attack because they know that their clock is just almost like a little bit better than what we're doing right now. And Rafine's Tower isn't really going to do it. But we can actually attack with the Adeline, which is pretty nice here. And the DECKTECH. Yeah, I think we just attack with both. There's really no reason not to. We're going to gain some life from the DECKTECH either way. And our Adeline trades with the Shieldred if need be. Yep, bonus just going to take 7, which obviously we're really, really happy about here. And let's go and cycle this Rafine's Tower to potentially try to hit a card that we actually want to see here. And we hit another DECKTECH. So we will lose some life. I actually think it's okay to play it. Keep the untapped one. We get 2 more here, which is pretty nice. And we have tons of lifelink on the ground and just lots of damage overall as well. I kind of want an Elos because it would guarantee that we're able to just deal tons of damage next turn and drain our opponent a bit. Opponent has a ton of cards in hand, so they got to have some answers here eventually. If not, we still just keep swinging with our cards. Okay, and they're going to kill that Retadrabic, but we actually just get a copy of it anyways, so not really the best target. They needed to target just the token, I think. If they want to play the underdog, that's fine. They'll go down to 10. We're going to go down to 5, but then we just gain a ton of life here off of these DECKTECHs. And yeah, we're pretty happy with that, honestly. Still no good attacks from our opponent here. And they're going to gain some life. Wow, and we draw the Elos. That's amazing, actually. So now we can just come in for just massive, massive damage here. Yep, just going to come in, make a token, gain a life. And don't forget, we have a Plaza of Heroes, so we can actually turn one of our cards indestructible. Okay, going to try to trade here maybe. Yep. So yeah, we're just going to make our card... Oh, target legendary. So let's see. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I think they're actually just dead here, right? Wow. Yeah, opponent just ended up taking lethal. We were able to take that match down. Wow, that was definitely a blast playing this deck. As you can see, there's just tons of value to be had. I mean, that game where we had triple Shieldred was just absolutely absurd. Yeah, you can just do some really nasty things with this deck. And, I mean, we played against, I think, a variety of different things. And a lot of them were also like some of these other black-based decks, and we were able to beat them. So I actually think that this deck has game against everything. I mean, you have enough early threats to essentially stall aggro out a little bit while you get your Shieldreds down or your AOs down, and then start to take over with Tadrabex, things like that. And on top of that, I actually think that our sideboard is somewhat decent to be able to handle what most of the meta has to offer. Like I said earlier, maybe like there's a few changes that need to be made to the sideboard to potentially bring it up to date to what's going to be able to handle most of the meta a little bit better. But overall, I had a blast with this deck. I think that it's definitely a deck that you can take on the ladder and rank up pretty easily as long as you kind of think through all your plays and just try to stay as efficient as possible. In terms of tournaments, I think that there is going to be a chance that you really need to fix the sideboard up to make it more streamlined towards a lot more of the same decks you're going to be playing, knowing that, you're going to be playing against a lot of like Grixis, Mardu, the mono black decks. You're going to be playing against a lot of these same decks, so you almost want to make the sideboard a little bit more different. Whereas I was mostly trying to go for cards that are just going to be good against the ladder overall against, the variety of types of decks that you may face. But yeah, I had a blast playing this deck. I hope that you enjoyed as well. If you made it this far into the video, don't forget, subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell notification, like the video, leave a comment down below. Would be greatly appreciated. And we also host 3 tournaments a month. All are free to play, including this Sunday's Standard Slice. So definitely get in on that. And I hope that you stay cheesy.